Hailing frequencies open, and welcome to Enterprising Individuals, the Star Trek discussion podcast that boldly goes into excruciating detail about the series, characters, and stories of the Star Trek universe. I'm your host, Aaron Coker, a.k.a. Caliban, and this fall, there's a new guy in town. He's gonna gather, analyze, and record all the data on this murder. You may think he's in the palm of your hand, but he can see right through you. Mr. Tricorder, Thursdays on Paramount Plus. I'm joined once again on this episode by Mikanhana. Mika is the host of the Sailor Noob podcast, an exploration for experts and newcomers to the fashion, food, and culture of the classic anime series Sailor Moon. She's also the host of the Just Enough Trope podcast, and she's a frequent guest on Star Trek Discoverage. Mika, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you back aboard.
It's great to be back aboard.
It's great that you feel that it's great that you're back aboard.
It's great that we both feel great that we're back aboard.
Okay.
I'm back aboard. What?
Oh no, she tripped. She lost.
Yeah, I lost.
You buy me a beer. All right.
Okay.
Well, today we'll be talking about Star Trek Generations, the 7th Star Trek feature film and the first Next Generation feature. By the year 1992, Trek was in a very good place. Star Trek The Next Generation was still succeeding in syndication, and a spin-off series, Deep Space Nine, was set to premiere the following year. In 1991, the financially successful and critically praised Star Trek VI had managed to bring the big screen adventures of the original series crew to a satisfying close. But change is inevitable, and Paramount had a new directive for the TNG crew's continuing mission: step into the cinematic shoes of the TOS crew and continue Trek's box office success with a 7th Star Trek feature. On its surface, the assignment was easy. We had a seasoned crew of talented actors, pre-existing sets and technical assets, plus a talented team of writers and artisans who had brought Trek to life every week for 7 years. But change isn't always easy. And as Captain Kirk might tell you, experience doesn't always transmute into success. And the TNG crew's first cinematic effort got a mixed reception, with some finding the changes to their familiar TNG pleasing, while others found them as revolting as something from Focus 3. But for Trek fans who were excited to see the TNG crew on the big screen, and for those who bemoaned the TOS crew's departure, like Data and his revolting beverage, they definitely wanted more. But we'll talk about that a little later in the show. First, Mika, it's always great to have you back on the podcast proper.
Great to
Enterprising
be on the podcast
Individuals. And what has been going on in your neck of the podcasting woods since you weren't on, I mean, you've been on for news and stuff, but you haven't done a main show
It's been a while.
since last year.
Yeah.
Since before the pandemic. Is that true?
No.
But it's been
I did. It has been a while.
Yeah, it was season 5.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, geez, we're
Indiscretion. There's something in my butt episode.
Yes. I thought you were telling me to have indiscretion.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's what's been going
on. Yeah. No, we talked about that, and let's see. We have been talking about Sailor Moon S, which is the 3rd season of the Sailor Moon 90s anime.
Yeah.
And that's been going really well. We're almost at the end of that season.
And then there's two more
and
seasons
Stars.
After that, so probably a little over halfway.
Yeah.
I assume that you watched Sailor Moon as a young girl.
I did.
As a young woman.
And
you're watching it again now. At this point, more than halfway through, like what insights have you become aware of? Just watching it a long time ago, and then like watching it as an adult now.
Well, I think I just let it wash over me as a kid, and like the way I consumed many things.
Sure, we all do.
Yeah, but now I look at it more critically, and there are some, episodes that are quote unquote filler that are excellent, and then there are some that are not so great.
That's just TV.
That's true. That
Animated
is just TV.
or live action.
Yeah. I think there are also some characters that I realize, like, as an adult, I appreciate so much more. Like, one of the bad guys, Esmeralda, from the 2nd season, I really appreciate because she's just so sassy, and she's just got a lot of style. And I really appreciate that a lot. And I don't remember like having such an affinity for her when I was younger.
It's a show about style in a lot of ways.
It is. It is a show about style, definitely. And I also think that I view the girls differently, the Senshi. Minako is a character that I've really grown fondly of, like this watch through, who I don't feel like I had very strong feelings for the first time around either. So I guess it's a lot of character stuff that I'm noticing more, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, character, well, we'll save that.
Oh, okay.
It's something I'm building too.
Okay.
I'm putting together in my mind. Because my
Okay.
next question is, or more of a comment, with you invited to respond,
Sure.
is that, you talked about filler episodes.
Yes.
And I mentioned, can you read that back? We have a stenographer here. She has a silent, I feel like a stenographer is defined by the clickety-clackety.
Yeah.
But it can't, that's for TV, right? If they're
Probably.
clickety-clacking all the time
It would
in a
just be
courtroom, it
annoying.
would drive everybody crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, knocking that gavel. Stop with the clickety-clackety.
Yeah.
But like TV has always had things like that. TV has, the classic TV season is 20-something episodes.
Yes.
And there's just never going to be, not everything's going to be great all the time.
Exactly.
Sometimes Arnold is just, getting in trouble with Willis, and then sometimes that guy is molesting people or something.
I don't know.
He's got some kids. It's a very special episode.
Yeah. Wow.
For Sweeps Week, right?
Yes, right.
And there's been a lot of conversation. Where's this going? There's been a lot of conversation on the internet recently, especially in the Trek sphere, because Trek is now 10 episodes long. That's how long
It's very
a season
different.
is. And then Discovery is the special child that gets a few
13.
extra.
Yeah.
And I've seen the argument go both ways in terms of people complaining about, probably the same people, complaining about Discovery and how it doesn't go anywhere. And every week they're just doing something else.
Yes.
But then they'll talk about Strange New Worlds and they'll go, it has to be something every week. You can't we don't have an episode anymore where we just roll up to like a casino where Luxana Troy comes on board and they have mud baths and there's jugglers and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's like, well, which is good and which is bad?
Right.
Some people seem to like that that's stripped out. Many people bemoan the fact that that stuff doesn't exist, even though I think if you'd asked, Michael Piller, let's say, I'm talking classic Michael Piller,
Sure.
right? This is like his rookie trading card, Michael Piller.
Sure.
He'd love that. He's a big baseball guy. Hat on. You ask him, like, would you rather do 10 really great episodes or 26 okay episodes and like one or two that you had the money for? And he'd be like, in a second, I would take 10.
Yeah.
But a lot of people miss having, these adventures with their characters and stuff like that.
It is kind of hard because you feel like a lot of the episodes get really overstuffed because it's like we have to have all these character moments.
Yeah.
And we don't get like a very special episode where we are just following Pike around like pretty much the entire episode. And there's like maybe a B plot. You know what I mean?
Just watching him order stuff off of Space Wayfarer or something like that.
Yeah, right.
I need like
do his
more.
hair,
Yeah.
what have you.
I got to season these pans again. Yeah, so like TV has less and movies kind of have more.
They kind of do.
I feel like you mentioned like just somebody hanging around or like character moments. I think those character moments are calculated. I think they're planned into, let's say, the newest Star Trek shows.
Sure.
But I don't feel like I feel them as much as I do with, and to be fair, I'm talking about like TNG episodes that are 30 years old and I've seen at least as many times. But if I woke up, you darted me.
Yes.
I went down and I woke up in the engineering section of the Enterprise D.
Yeah.
I would be fine. I could find my way to the bridge.
Right.
I could go to the bathroom. I could go play in the holodeck. Like, I just feel like I know that world so well.
I agree.
And part of it is, yes, that show's been on for a long time and I've seen it. But another part is there are so many episodes and so many of those episodes spend so much time in those spaces. Whereas like Discovery, I know there's a bridge. I know that there's an engineering Sometimes they don't even go to engineering that much anymore.
No, they
and
don't.
I know that there's a sick bay, and then there's just there are rooms that they
Yes.
stand in and talk to each other.
Yes.
And like Strange New Worlds isn't like quite that bad, but for all of its beautiful sets and lovingly detailed, lights and things like that, it's the same thing. They don't feel like spaces to me yet.
They don't feel
where
connected.
things happen. Yeah, and they don't feel connected. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't feel like a ship as a whole. They feel like spaces, like you were saying, just kind of sporadically in space.
Like Spock, there's one episode like Spock Amok on Strange New Worlds. There's an episode where, there's a sequence of very important scenes that happen as it gets rolling. And so I get it's like you walk into his place and it's like this thing and his bed's over here, a little side thing. He's got a little table and stuff like that. And then there's like another episode later in the season where a character comes to visit him and talk to him, presumably in his quarters. And
Right.
it doesn't really look anything like
The same.
what we saw before. And I'm like, does he have like he's the XO. Like, does he have like no, he's not. He's a science officer. Does he have
he's a
like a
science
second
officer.
room or something? Or
That would be
Or was it
weird.
just set up differently? Do you know what I mean? Like
I mean, maybe.
and I know that they're trying to impress us with all the different rooms, but I'm like, no, like TOS had like the bridge. It had Spock's quarters.
Right.
He's got, first of all, here's what we know. We know that there is a wall opposite the front door of
Yes.
Spock's quarters
Right.
that you can throw Plomeek soup at. And we know he's got his little computer that he squishes
Right.
and his desk behind that. That's where the velvet starts.
That's right.
This is where the magic happens. And his, Lirpa or whatever he's got, back on the wall.
Yes.
And I don't know. I'm not there yet. We've spent so much time in Pike's kitchen
Yes.
/
It's his living
dining area.
quarters,
Yeah.
question mark.
And I know there's a little den on the side where his fireplace is.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Like, where does he sleep? Like,
I don't know.
feel like I know these things.
I don't know where he sleeps. Maybe he sleeps behind velvet curtains or something like that. I don't know.
Now we're talking magic.
That's right.
Well, TV has less time to do things. It seems like movies have more time to do things.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at what movies are popular right now.
Yeah, right.
Long-running series, car movies, superhero movies. And I
Sonic
don't know
2.
about you, but I know a little bit because we have a show called Just Enough Trope where we
Yes.
talk about movies. I feel like movies are real bad right now.
They're not good.
And I don't feel like they're going to get much better soon. What do you think is going on with movies?
I don't know what's going on with movies. It just feels like they've told every story that they want to tell in it just feels like everything's derivative of, I mean, maybe that's kind of cliche to say, but
Look, Ant-Man and the Wasp are going to make all kinds of big things small and all kinds of small things big in the third one. You wait.
yeah, exactly. And I think
There are
that,
so many things that they are going to change the size of.
well, I know. And I feel like Marvel, like, I don't know that they know what they want to do anymore. Like they hit Endgame. I feel like that went well. And now I just kind of feel like they're all messed up.
I had a thought about this the other day.
Yeah.
I think the TV shows have screwed things up.
The TV shows.
Now,
The Marvel TV shows.
Yeah, I don't begrudge. I think it's a good idea. I think that because the line, and this is what I think the problem is, the blurring between TV and movies. But like,
Sure.
You've got these properties. There's only so many movies you can make if they all cost $200 million. So you make a TV show. That makes sense.
Yes.
But I think something like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show,
Yes.
which I thought was fine, but like all their shows, I think went on a little too long.
Yes.
You kind of robbed Captain America 4. Like, what's Captain America 4 going to be about? It probably should have been that.
Just been Falcon and Winter
Yeah,
Soldier.
and now you're giving all these moments and all these little things that would, A, either be in the next movie, or B, you would just skip and trust your audience. And I was looking at like the first 3 Captain America movies, and at the end of the first movie, he is, a super soldier from the 40s who makes the ultimate sacrifice.
Right.
Then, surprise, you are actually alive and you are in the 21st century.
Yes.
How's he going to deal with that?
Right.
Answer, off screen and pretty fine.
Yeah. Right.
So we pick him up with the second one. He's got a list of, he's going to try Thai food. Don't worry. He's got everything he's going to do. But he doesn't feel like he fits. Turns out a good-looking, smart white guy can do okay in the 21st century.
Right.
But he doesn't feel like he has a raison d'etre, a reason to do what he's doing.
Right.
And then when everything that he thinks that he's doing it for America, the government, whatever, turns out to be like a lie and filled with Hydra agents and bad, he has to find a new reason to do it, which is for just general justice and for his friends, his new friends.
Right.
You know, Bucky and Natasha and Sam.
Yes.
And so by the end, he's ready to do that. Then in the third movie, we pick up again, and it's completely different now because he's up against, you know, the de facto leader of the Avengers, whereas Cap was kind of the de facto because he couldn't knock a building down in the first movie.
Right.
The only thing left for him is to lead.
Right.
Now he's up against, you know, the presumptive sort of leader of the Avengers, Tony, the guy that's kept everything going. And so a lot of stuff can happen off screen in between movies. We don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the stuff you put in a show. I don't know. But I think that there are not enough TV shows or episodes, and there are too many movies. I think movies have stolen stuff from TV shows.
And
because there's not
versa.
enough attention economy. So TV shows, look, you could make 20 episodes of Strange New Worlds, but they wouldn't bother because they want you to try the other flavors.
Yeah, that's true.
And keep things going. And as a TV studio, they've only got X amount of money for a whatever.
Yeah.
If they're going to make these things so expensive. And so I think that like TV shows have turned into movies and movies have turned into TV shows, and they are both suffering because of it. Your thoughts in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, I could see that. I do think that with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it could have just been like an awesome movie instead of 6 episodes of a TV show. And like, I do wonder what you're saying, like, what is the movie going to be about? And I don't even feel like they've made that big of a deal out of the fact that they've announced Captain America 4. I feel like that was kind of under the radar, and usually I feel like they put out the feelers to see how people feel about that sort of thing. And I feel like they're like not even really making a big deal about it.
And the guy directing it's like has never directed like, well, this happens all the time. Like, you know, almost everybody they hire hasn't directed a $200 million movie before, but like, he's barely directed like a mainstream film before.
Do you feel like they aren't so super confident about Sam being Captain America too? For some reason.
I don't know. You know what I was doing at 1 a.m. last night?
What were you doing?
I was Googling Sam Wilson Captain America t-shirts.
Oh, were you really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
I found a custom one.
Yeah.
That they make for you, and I almost got it, but then they have this chart about like your height and weight, and I'm like, oh.
Not so confident about that.
How real is this chart? Are you trying to scare people away? I'll call you like 25 pounds later. I'll call you.
Oh my gosh.
About this suit. Yeah, I don't know. You know, we were recording this on the eve of San Diego Comic-Con. So anything where we're like, they're not telling us enough. I mean, that may or may not still be true in a couple days.
That's true.
They've already said that. I think they're already showing Captain America 4 stuff for the Comic-Con.
Well, that's exciting.
Well, anyway, I don't know. I just thought that it might come up. You know, one of the things that I want to talk about today as we talk about this film is change.
Yes.
The nascent internet.
Uh-huh.
And the possible unholy birth, like it's a W.B. Yeats poem, of negative fan criticism.
Okay.
Unhelpful criticism.
Okay.
And we will get to that when we talk about the film itself.
All right.
Before we do that, though, speaking of things to be mad about.
Okay.
Or happy about.
Oh my gosh.
How do you like the new shows this year? The new, straight from the runways of Milan, new Star Trek.
I like Strange New Worlds, although I don't know that it really stuck the landing completely on the last episode. But I think for the most part, I really like it. Prodigy, I really like a lot. I thought that was really fun and really enjoying that. Those are the ones that I liked. I'm going to be honest. So Discovery, they kind of lost me at some point. I'm not sure. Maybe it's somewhere after the first season. I'm just not as excited about Discovery as I was, in the beginning. I mean, what do you think the state of like sequels is like right now? because we just watched Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for Just Enough Show.
Well, considered solely through the lens of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I'd say strong to very strong.
Okay. All right. So
Sonic
there's
the
a
Hedgehog
vote
2
that like movies are good.
Is the first sequel I've seen in a long time that was honestly a sequel. It
Yeah.
was literally just, what about that? But some more of that,
That's true.
you know?
Yeah.
To the point where it was literally just like, you like one weird-toothed CGI character? Here are two more weird-toothed CGI characters. And we just don't have that anymore. Every sequel is some kind of like transformation of the last film or the next chapter in the ongoing story.
Right.
You know, the car movies, the superhero movies, they literally are all just, you know, the new episode, a series of episodes in a show, the Fast and Furious show.
Right.
But yeah, like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was just like, we don't know. We were amazed you liked the first one. Jim Carrey's back. All right, let's do it. Like that was the whole thing. And honestly, that was fine. I mean, I don't know. When did the sequel become the other thing I was describing? You know, the chapters in a story. Whose fault? Who do we?
Harry Potter? I don't know. Do we blame Harry Potter for that?
Why Harry Potter?
I guess that's just based off the books. So I'm just thinking of.
Yeah, and if anything, and I didn't read those books, so tell me if I'm right on or not. But isn't each one of those books just, here's some new crap I thought of?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and then later on, it's like, looking back through the books. Okay, so here's the deal.
Yes.
Snape. Oh, you didn't know about Snape. He was
Right.
always doing this.
Yes.
But you look back at the earlier books and you're like, doesn't seem like he was ever really.
He was actually really.
Remember when he was
doing
talking to that, when he was like, yes, Mr. President, in like the first book?
Yes.
No, that's like.
No,
not
he
there.
wasn't actually doing that.
She's
yeah.
she's writing them like movies. She's just thinking of them like classic movie sequels as she's writing these books, right?
Yeah, right.
Fridge Connection 2. No, we're not doing that. Because this is a nerd show.
Yes.
Ostensibly,
Yes.
I would think about something like the Cameron sequels, your Terminators 2.
Okay,
your
sure.
Aliens too.
Sure.
Where it's like, whether or not I did the first one, clearly I am here to elevate, the premise and find something new and not just it's the Terminator again.
It's more of the same.
Ding dong.
Yeah.
I said I'd be back, like that. I mean, he was definitely doing that, but.
Yes, that's definitely true.
But he was never, and he supports it now because he gets money, but like he was never thinking about it as, okay, and in the sixth one, when the chick from Game of Thrones is like, come with me if you want to live, that is going to reveal something. Like that was never the idea.
No, it was not the idea.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's, yeah. I think he probably groans when he sees that. Although I wonder what he's trying to do with Avatar.
I think that he knows. Wow, we got to James Cameron somehow. Yeah. This is a Just Enough Trip reunion. He knows where the money gets made. He knows where the bread and the butter are, respectively. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I bet he does too, but he does it inside.
Yeah.
And for somebody who, from what I understand, can, really, really yell at a best boy.
Oh my God.
And for somebody who has no shortage of, let's say, self-confidence, being the king of the world and all.
Yeah.
He can definitely put on his soft shoes and start a little number when they ask him, what do you think about Terminator 14? He's like, it feels like the Terminator. You know what I mean? He will do that.
Yeah. I think he would do that. Yeah.
No, I've watched him do that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was shilling for Genesis, saying how
really?
It's so great. It's so great that they took the characters that I created and then made them like silly TV people.
What the heck?
Instead of, what Sarah Connor, one of the greatest female heroes in sci-fi.
I wonder what he thinks about the Sarah Connor Chronicles.
Probably doesn't even acknowledge it because I don't think that he.
Okay.
Well, he does. He must get paid off of it.
He has to.
It just seems like he would think that's not canon.
Okay.
And when James Cameron says something isn't canon,
then
baby,
it's
that
really
thing
not
is
canon.
Out. That is beta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too bad because I like Sarah Connor Chronicles. It's pretty good as far as the TV show goes. that's based off of movies.
I think everybody landed at least on one foot, if not both feet.
I think so.
Right?
Yeah.
Lena Headey's fine,
She's
although
fine.
apparently not, because she has to sue some people to get paid. But if they didn't pay her, that's not her fault.
Yeah, that's
She always hear about her money trouble.
Yeah.
Amelia Clark obviously is fine.
Yeah.
I keep interviewing her about her strokes. Wouldn't you want to talk about something else? Does she have a
would think.
foundation for people with brain injuries and strokes? She does. Then keep talking about it. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what the hell Thomas Decker's doing, but he's probably okay. He's in a couple Greg Araki movies. He's all right? Summer Glau's just going to be Summer Glau.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, that is fine.
And the people that wrote it are writing other things. So, anyone you can
Turned
walk
out
away
okay.
from.
Yeah, it's okay.
As our characters find out in this film we're not talking about.
That's right.
When I approached you,
Yes.
told you we're talking about the films of Star Trek on the show this year, and you said you could talk about Generations.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot your reasons, if you had particular ones, and you can just tell them to me now, I guess. But before you do,
Yes.
I'll have to say that no one else asked for Generations.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. Are you sure? You sure? Oh, well, okay. I guess we could make some room and you can talk about Generations. Gosh, she wants to talk about Generations.
I just think it's, it's fun that it's like passing the torch, like literally. And
Luckily, they don't have a literal torch passing.
thankfully,
scene.
they don't.
Take note, the Batman.
No. Yeah, right. But there is a horseback riding scene because both captains like horseback riding. So we got to have that in there.
Thanks, Melinda Snodgrass.
Yes.
It's Brett Braga and Ronald D. Moore's high-fiving each other. Like, we gotta send Melinda a favorite case of her brand.
Yeah, right.
Whew.
Exactly.
We thought we were never getting out of here. Horses. They both like horses.
They both like horses.
Oh,
thank
God.
goodness. Yes. And I wonder if something else that I think is fun is like I wonder if like Picard has shared with anybody else that he met Captain Kirk and if anybody else like actually believes them.
Well, according to Lower Decks,
yeah,
which I've never said before.
Wow.
Yeah, write it down.
Yeah.
But I've always assumed this. I think Picard takes logs on everything.
That's true.
I think half the time that somebody walks in and he goes, come, he's logging like what happened last week or whatever. And he's like, oh, and then the Iconian probe shorted out data. I think he meticulously does everything.
I had a rhubarb salad for lunch.
Well, maybe not. Yeah, that's it, right. Mott the barber. Hey, fire that guy. He's always screwing this up. But like Kirk, I think like you listen back to his logs and it's a bunch of like, maybe the real, creature from outside the galaxy was the friends we made along the way. And it's like, what are you talking about? Cisco's like, why are these all deleted? Janeway is just a bunch of like science stuff. They're like, we get it. You understand the science of the pitcher plant that tried to eat you. Yeah.
Right.
But no, I think like he is, keeping track of every single thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, like he would have to in his debrief. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, by the way, I got James Kirk to jump out of a space ribbon to help me.
No big whoop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just buried him in rocks up on the hill over there.
I know.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool that we get to see these two captains interact. So that's why I picked Generations.
Well, I did, yeah, and I don't disagree with you. I wasn't going to do this here, but let's keep it free-formed and moving all right along.
All right.
This is not very highly rated.
Uh-huh.
It's
not surprising.
Number 10. It is fourth from the bottom on a list of the 13 Trek films by their Rotten Tomato rating. Is
that
rated
low?
47 on Rotten Tomatoes. Hey, 47.
Yeah.
47%.
Why is 47 important?
I don't know.
Like 47 Ronin? Or
No. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? That's a better explanation than I've ever heard.
Okay.
It's just a number in Trek canon. Somebody started doing it. I don't remember who. I know that Joe Menosky likes it, and he wrote like a TNG or two.
Uh-huh.
And supposedly it was like his dorm room number, or I'm just making it up now. But somebody picked up on that, and then it became a thing. It's in this movie. Remember, they get
really.
Scotty's like, I got 47 when he beams the survivors off the LaCool.
That's true. He
Out
does
of
say that.
150, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So whenever they need a random number in Star Trek, they pick 47.
That's so strange. I never noticed that before.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So anyway, it's at 47%. And people, like I said, did not have a lot of good things to say. Roger Ebert.
Oh, no.
He's the guy who likes bad movies.
He does sometimes.
Like, consciously.
Yeah.
He said, here's a movie so concerned with in-jokes and updates for Trekkers that it can barely tear itself away long enough to tell a story. Now, let me tell you, in 1990, 94, when this movie came out, there was a debate over Trekkies and Trekkers. So I'll give him Trekkers.
Okay.
He's not out of the loop. That was probably correct then. Now we're Trekkies. We don't care.
Yeah, right.
Dude, in-jokes. You get that this is a movie. Have you ever...
It's for Trek
God
fans.
rest his soul. His review now would just be in-jokes typed 498 times, however many times to get his inches. It's literally doing this to connect to franchises here.
Yes.
He gets that, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So that's kind of a weird thing to say. I mean, they're in jokes with like Trekkies in mind or Trekkers in mind.
I don't know. Maybe you can tell me what he's talking about then. I don't even know what the in jokes are.
I don't know what he's talking about. I think he didn't like
that there's
it,
a cat
and he's like
spot.
Yeah,
like, what are the in jokes?
I don't know what the in jokes are.
The idea that Captain Kirk would rather be sitting in the center seat on the bridge instead of like on the side. What in jokes does he mean?
That they both like horses. I don't know what the
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like putting a tribble on Lorca's desk in Star Trek Discovery is an in-joke.
Yes.
Why does he have a tribble? Is it a mirror universe tribble that he brought from the other side?
It's so weird.
Like, yeah, right? Like, that's an in-joke.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what he's talking about. James Bernardolini. There you go.
Okay.
Real Reviews said, mostly Generation spends its running length searching for and never completely finding its niche.
Okay.
I don't necessarily disagree with what he is apparently trying to say.
Okay.
But this is 1994. There are so many more adaptations.
Yes.
TV shows turned into movies.
Yes.
That do it a lot worse than this does, I think.
I would agree with you. And that's why I find it so hard to believe that this was rated so lowly.
This guy, James O'Healy of the Sci-Fi Movie Page, which must have been a very early website, said, even so-called Trekkies had several bones to pick with the plot and characterization of this movie.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
This review has so many in-jokes, it can barely tear itself away to review the movie.
Oh my gosh.
Those bones, like bones?
Is that what they're doing?
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I have a bone to pick. Bones wasn't in this.
So people, I don't know if you remember 1994, but these are the kind of things that you would level at something that you didn't consider cinema.
Sure.
In the mid-90s. How dare this TV show, Maverick, or The Brady Bunch.
Right.
Or Josie and the Pussycats.
Yes.
How dare it try to be a movie?
Right.
So I'm just going to say, the plot and characterization doesn't come together. It doesn't find its niche. Or the most damning comment of all, it feels like a long episode of the TV show. And this podcast, 90 minutes from now,
yes,
you will understand why that is the most shallow thing that you could possibly level at a TV show that's trying to replicate the feeling of a TV show in the movie theater with big explosions.
Yeah.
And the lights are all turned down for some reason.
Was it trying to make it feel like you're in a movie? You know, like the lights are...
Oh, is this a movie?
Yeah,
Am I watching a movie here?
Yeah, right.
Is this a movie ticket in my hand? So maybe we'll talk about that a little later in the show. But let's get into the technical details really quick. We are talking about the 7th Trek film and the first TNG feature, Star Trek Generations. It was released on November 18th, 1994. Where were you?
Where was I? Probably in elementary school.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I was in the
don't know,
theater.
math class?
I was
don't know.
in the theater watching this film.
Okay.
On November 18th.
Wow.
Screenplay by Ronald D. Moore and Brandon Braga. Story by Rick Berman, Ronald D. Moore, and Brandon Braga. We'll talk about the writing of the film a little later.
Okay.
The film was directed by David Carson. Carson is a British director. He got his start in America directing the TNG episode The Enemy.
Okay.
And he went on to direct 3 more episodes of TNG, including Yesterday's Enterprise. He also directed 4 episodes of DS9, including the pilot episode, Emissary. And I'll tell you, this is his first feature.
Okay.
And he directed 2 more features.
Oh, all right.
One of which was, I believe, a direct-to-video film.
Oh.
So
Okay.
this was that.
Well, I guess if you're, I don't know. I don't think that like 47% is that bad, but, and I also think that that's really stinking low for this film.
Well, let's just say, we discovered the cinematic and not just TV directing chops of Jonathan Frakes after this.
Well, that's true.
He did not return.
That's true.
Not criticizing his direction, but did not go on to great things necessarily. Produced by Rick Berman, the star date for this movie is 4/8/6/32.4. That is, of course, in the modern timeline. In the earlier timeline, it's 2293.
Oh, okay.
So when you think about
Sure.
how you just take 22 and put 19 instead, the Enterprise's adventures were in 2266. So 30 years later, or over 30 years later,
Sure.
we pick up with, of course, Captain Kirk.
Yes.
And the launch of the Enterprise B. The budget for the movie, $35 million. The box office, $118 million.
Oh, okay.
Very successful. It ranked number
There you go.
5 on a list of the 13 Trek films for its gross income at the box office.
Okay. That just seems weird, doesn't it? That it's like number 4 at the worst, like ranked, but like number 5 in the top gross.
Yeah.
Doesn't that seem weird?
Yeah. Well, there's no accounting for taste. Guess what the number 1 grossing Star Trek film is?
I'm gonna guess that it is a JJ Trek film. I'm gonna guess that it is hit the first one.
It is not the first one.
It's not. Okay. Is it Wrath of Khan? The worst one?
Do you mean Into Darkness?
Yeah, I mean Into Darkness.
Yes, it is Into Darkness.
Oh my gosh.
Wrath of Khan 2?
Yeah, Wrath of Khan 2.
What is the deal with sequels these days? Sequels and remakes, I don't know.
Oh, man.
Yeah, now, the funny thing about the accounting for taste is that its rating, Star Trek Into Darkness's Rotten Tomatoes rating, is certified fresh at 84%.
That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, nothing makes any sense.
Okay.
Everyone
Up
agrees.
Is down, down is up.
Yeah, this isn't an audience poll. This is just a critic poll.
Okay.
But yeah, so no, it could be bad, and we could all watch it and then come out and go, "That was terrible. Let's see it again."
Yeah, right.
This is revolting. More, please. They didn't know it. They were writing the perfect joke for Star Trek fans.
Oh, no.
Now, Ronald D. Moore will that's what was on our mind. Okay, all right, come on. You created Battlestar Galactica and Outlander. You don't have to do this. Don't lie like this, Ron. Your assignment, Mika, if you can, because I want to hear what it ends up being,
oh my goodness,
is to give us a 25-word synopsis of Star Trek Generations.
An anomaly in space supposedly kills Captain Kirk, and then years later it brings the same anomaly brings the crew of Enterprise D together to find a solution. This is more than 25 words. To the nebulous problem, and Captain Kirk comes to help Captain Picard to save the day.
Not too shabby.
Okay.
Honestly, that should have been probably 50 for a movie.
Yeah.
So you were under 50 there.
Okay.
Like the anomaly brings. I suppose you're wondering why I've gathered you all together in space. There is a nebulous anomaly. Oh, an anomaly in a nebula? No. I mean, like the adjective, nebulous.
I know.
No, that was great. Here's some interesting facts from the memory banks about this episode. And, feel free to jump in with anything you'd like to add. This is William Shatner's only appearance in Trek as Captain Kirk without Leonard Nimoy as Mr. Spock.
Oh, that's sad.
Why?
Sad. Because, they're best buds.
Yeah, they're a double act.
At least
even though they've spent their entire careers and lives trying to prove that's not true, but they certainly are. It's also the final. It's also way to take a crap on Scotty. It's also the final chronological canon appearance of James Kirk and Pavel Chekhov. It's the last real world appearance of James Doohan as Scotty. He'd of course appear later in universe in the 24th century in the TNG episode Relics. Tim Russ appears as a bridge officer aboard the Enterprise B in the movie. He had appeared previously as different characters in the TNG episode Starship Mine and the DS9 episode Invasive Procedures.
Okay.
I think this is one of those things that we've talked about on the show before where it's like, I just like him, He probably read for Cisco. You know what
Probably.
I mean? He might have read for Geordi. Not saying that, you have to be black to be those roles, but
right.
There's a great joke in the movie Swingers.
Okay.
Where, what's that? He's a character actor. I can't remember the character actor's name, but he's a black guy. And, they're all out of work actors. They're all trying to make it.
Yes.
And they're like, so what are you doing? Oh, I got an audition for Goofy. I don't want to be Goofy. And it's like, hey, you got to take the roles where they come. Otherwise you're not doing anything. And the black guy's like, yeah, my mom still thinks I got Deep Space Nine. But obviously Tim Russ, great actor and fun to work with. And they're like, it's coming. The role is coming for you.
Yes.
We finally got it.
Tuvok.
How do you feel about mind melding?
Oh, God. I know. I think we overuse mind melding, in the Star Trek universe.
She doesn't mean it, Tim. The ship, the old wooden ship that appears in the holodeck sequence is called the Lady Washington in real life. It is a replica ship. Her captain actually can be seen in the sequence where Troy goes, take the helm.
Oh, really?
Which she should have said when they were crashing. That's a joke. It's fine. It's fine. The Lady Washington is a full-scale replica of the real Lady Washington ship, which is a 90-ton brig that harassed British shipping during the Revolutionary War. After the war, she was refit as a trading vessel to participate in the Pacific fur trade. She became the first American vessel to round Cape Horn, to reach the American northwest coast, and to attempt, though unsuccessfully, to trade with Japan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
So a storied ship, not that one, the one that it's designed to look like.
Right.
This could be one of the deadliest Trek films for named characters. In this film, we lose James Kirk, Robert and Renee Pickard, who don't appear on screen, I guess.
Yeah.
Toli and Soren, and Lursa and B'Etor, not to mention the entire Enterprise D, and the entire crew when you think about it, in the original timeline.
Yes.
And it's the last we see of Geordi's visor.
Oh, we don't see his visor ever again?
No, he has those weird eyes after this.
Oh, that's weird.
You think the IT guy, who we never see.
Yeah.
But this was made even a little later. IT guy in the Enterprise.
Yeah.
I think he's like, all right, that's it. Give me your BlackBerry. You got to go iPhone.
Yes.
You said, get up. Come on, give it to me.
Give it to me.
No. This is it's better for me. I know that I won't open any emails or anything like that. And he gets the whole ship blown up. It's like, all right, you're going iPhone. That's it. And fun fact, Malcolm McDowell, who plays Tolian Soren, is the real-life uncle of Alexander Siddig, who played Bashir in DS9.
I knew that. He looks so sinister too.
He looks like they put Sting through a food dehydrator.
Yes.
With all that would entail.
Yes. 1,000 times yes, that's what he looks like.
It continues the classic tradition of let's get a real deal actor in here. Get us a British or sort of British-aligned, British-trained character actor to play this bad guy. He lucks out, no goop on his face for this one.
He does get a nasty scar, though.
Yeah, that's true. Which is weird because he already has that. He's got a vertical scar on his forehead that he just has.
Huh.
But I mean, maybe dress that up or something. But yeah, no, you're going to have a different scar.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, wonderful. Apparently, depending on when you ask him, he hated working on this film.
Oh, really?
Well, he definitely said that he didn't like the script.
Okay.
But then later on, he said Yeah, I definitely did it for because my kids, would love it, and we'll talk about it. But in the original script, he kills Captain Kirk, and so he's like, "I'd always be the answer to a pub trivia question: Who killed Captain Kirk?"
Well, I mean,
now he doesn't even have that. So in a pub full of twisted metal and broken bridge parts. They're like, "Oh, I know the answer to this one."
Sad.
Well, we'll get to that. Let's talk about the development of the film. So it's 1992.
Yes.
And Paramount approaches Rick Berman with a question.
Okay.
Y'all got any more of them Star Trek films?
Uh-huh.
Star Trek 6, of course, had been a wild success, and TNG was in its 6th season. DS9 was in production and getting ready to launch the next year.
Yeah.
So time to start thinking about TNG films. And Berman and Paramount chairman Brandon Tartikoff, who was very instrumental in greenlighting DS9.
Yes.
They were both on board, but they thought, more than just having like a straight TNG film, we have a unique opportunity here to have a handoff of sorts from the TOS crew to the TNG one. Mm-hmm. And I think having Tartikoff, who was chairman or president for only 2 years, but he got a lot of Trek work done.
A lot. Yeah.
Also Must See TV.
Yes.
But that was at NBC. I think it was because part of the reason they're getting rid of the old guys is because they're old and they're uninsurable, and the people at Paramount who see them as moneymakers and see them as the people behind
right
motion picture, which we've talked about,
yes.
did make money, but had a bad reputation. But Wrath of Khan, they don't have the cash anymore.
Right.
And so, but they thought, but they can still do movies. So let's have this handoff.
Yeah.
And I think that was a pretty good idea.
I think so
They
too.
Commissioned several writers to pitch ideas for the feature. And actually, TNG former showrunner and DS9 creator Michael Piller turned down the opportunity.
Really?
Probably because he was really busy getting DS9 going.
Probably.
But also, he didn't like the idea of auditioning for the job.
Okay, I mean, that's fair.
5 years on TNG, created DS9. He knew he was destined for great things. He was going to pitch for this job. So 2 pitches were developed, one from former TNG showrunner Maury Hurley.
Okay.
Where Picard would create a holodeck replica of Kirk to help him foil an interdimensional invasion.
Okay.
And one from TNG writers Brandon Braga and Ronald D. Moore, which gave us the film that we have today.
Okay.
Their original idea for the film involved the TOS and TNG crews fighting each other, comic book heroes to team up style.
Okay.
But they couldn't find a way to make the story work and have both crews seem sympathetic, like they're on the right side.
I mean, that makes sense.
To which I say, well, why have them fight? But I also say, you can't. I feel like if we just took 5 minutes, we could come up with something. Right?
Well, I mean, just with Kirk being kind of ornery when Picard first shows up and just not wanting to help.
I'm not saying one cut the other one off. I'm saying maybe
no.
some one crew's trying to protect a being that is key to the survival of the universe, but the other crew thinks, now we're doing it. You've made us do it. The other crew is convinced they've been deceived. They think that they need to destroy this being or something like that.
Yes.
Not this, but something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, they came up with this idea of a multi-generational mystery that they would have to solve, something that was bigger than just one adventure.
Yes.
So it's like 2 TV episodes.
There you go.
Take that. They still needed something to jumpstart the story, though, and fairly early on, they lighted on the idea of killing Kirk.
Uh-huh.
And you read in interviews with Ronald D. Moore, you could feel the glee in his and we just thought, what if we kill this guy? Check this out. We'll just kill him.
Oh my gosh.
So they would kill him early, and then he would return later on in some way, for the climax of the film. There were some sequences that were cut from the original script just because they were a little too ambitious or, for time or budget. We would originally see the attack of the Romulans on the Amargosa Observatory instead of just seeing the aftermath. They had a sequence where we see Lursa and B'Etor survive the destruction of their bird of prey.
Oh, really?
And they end up fighting the Enterprise D crew on Veridian 3. Huh. Which is too much.
Yeah,
that's that let's give Riker something to do, like an insurrection. It's like, the Sona ships are going after Riker, and he's got to use the Logitech controller to do the Riker maneuver. It's like, okay, it's fine. It's a little too much. We got a lot of hats we're trying to wear here.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a sequence where Kirk does some orbital skydiving at the beginning of the film.
We don't need that.
Included at Shatner's insistence.
Oh, okay.
It was shot, and you can see it on YouTube or on the DVD special features, but it was later cut and replaced with the scene that we got.
Yeah.
of the christening of the bee. The original script originally featured the entire main cast from TOS, but that was eventually pared down to just 2 characters, including Kirk. Leonard Nimoy and DeForest Kelley were approached for the film, but both had felt that their characters had received satisfactory send-offs previously.
Yeah.
And also, little business, Nimoy was offered the chance to direct the film.
Oh.
But he was told, unlike the previous efforts that he had directed, he would not have any input into the script.
Oh.
And his part at the beginning would be all that Spock got to do in the film.
Uh-huh.
And so he's like, no, I'm not doing that.
I'm not interested.
Yeah. He did later say on like Regis and Kathy Lee or something, like if they found a way to, put him in, he'd do it. And he did. He did to J.J. Abrams' films.
That's true.
All the other elements of the film fell into place after that. David Carson was hired to direct. Longtime Trek production designer Herman Zimmerman was hired. And ILM was secured to produce the special effects, as well as the company CIS Hollywood, the company that produced many of the effects for the TNG show. The stellar cartography set was designed and built, and the bridge set received an overhaul for the film. After the film wrapped, all of the original TNG sets were struck completely to make way for the sets of Voyager.
Oh.
Gotta get free up the room on stages 8 and 9. Part of the sickbay set was saved for Voyager's sickbay, and the observation lounge set was saved and appeared in future TNG films.
Okay, so this film is filmed after they're done shooting.
Where was the Smithsonian on this one?
Yeah. Well, great question.
That's what I want to know.
Great question.
We talked about this when we talked about All Good Things on the show a while ago, but like they wrapped All Good Things, had a long weekend, or maybe they might have had like 2 weeks or something, a fortnight, and then came right back and started Generations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got right into it.
Okay. All right. So it made sense for them to just kind of like the ship is ruined. We're no more.
Right.
Sort of thing.
And literally, distressed and burned and, parts of the set to sell the destruction. But I'm like, where's the Smithsonian on this?
I know. No, I agree with you.
A young James Colley's like, don't picture. Wait a minute. A what? A what now? Right. He's the guy that has the replicas of it.
Yes.
You're going to do what now? I don't know. This is also the first film where many of the starships were depicted using CGI instead of models. Although there was model work, the main Enterprise model from Encounter at Farpoint was touched up for the film. Got a cinematic makeover, as did the USS Excelsior model from Star Trek III.
Okay.
The music for the film. This is the first film to not feature Horner or Goldsmith. They got Dennis McCarthy, who had been a composer for Next Generation for a long time. He'd also go on to work on Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, and some other TV projects. I gotta say, all those shows would not be those shows without his work.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is like, the composer of choice for the TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
Movie, nothing really stands out musically.
I was gonna say not a whole lot stands out to me musically either. I mean, unfortunately,
it's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
But there isn't anything that you would immediately, like Star Trek 2, like you immediately think of the music in addition to a lot of other things you think about.
Right.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the technical details that I had. We could talk about our characters. This isn't a situation where our characters are returning after a long absence. They are literally just showing up after the show has just left the airwaves.
Yeah, right. So that's kind of weird.
Technically, this is supposed to be a year after the end of the show, after All Good Things.
Okay.
Where the Enterprise D has, of course, just continued its mission.
Okay.
And so we're seeing it now. But all of our people are here.
Yes, all of our people.
Every one of them. And they've all got stuff to do.
I have a question about the wooden ship.
Yeah.
Did they have that on was that on an enclosed set or was that out at sea somewhere? Where did they film that?
They just do it just out from shore.
Okay.
You pull it in close and then you just shoot to one side.
Okay. All right. Because, that could be potentially dangerous, too. I know it's like a replica ship and everything, but it could have been potentially dangerous. And we had a couple of characters go overboard and stuff like that. And
yeah. The water's probably like 5-6 feet deep.
I guess.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay.
They had divers on set.
Okay. All right. So it was as safe as it was going to be. Yeah, I mean, I just think that we get that beat like at the very beginning where Picard gets an email or a telegram or whatever that Robert and Renee are dead, and we don't know that that's what has happened, but Troy notices like right away that like something is wrong with him, and she starts trying to make her way towards him, but she doesn't get to him before he leaves the bridge, and he's like short with Riker, and Riker can't figure out like what is going on, and he tries to like figure out, and he tries to get him to open up to him, but he just does not want to open up to him. And then we get that scene later where Troy just kind of comes in after it's been some time, and he's looking through the photographs and everything. And I just thought that was really touching, like when we're talking about passing the torch and like generations, and here's the next generation, and then like Renee is dead, and he was like the closest that Picard had ever felt like to having a son. And he's gone. And it's, I don't know, it's really sad. And it's, I think it's a very low point for Picard. Probably one of the lowest, that we see him in.
I don't think that we'd ever, correct me if I'm wrong, but like Picard never like thought about kids or worried about that on the show, did he?
No, and he always seemed like he hated kids.
Well, all right, that's the
thing. Joke.
Yeah, and then this is, I guess, the payoff to that element from the first season of the show.
Yeah.
In the 7th season, they, Diamond Bach tricks him into thinking he's got, he had a kid or whatever.
Sure.
His fake kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like we must have, because this is how they paper in the cracks, in the plot, or just fill time.
Mm-hmm.
Character moments.
Yeah, right.
Where characters aren't talking to each other about, space tensors and
nebulas and nebulas
and rotating black holes.
Yeah.
But I don't remember him ever like worrying about legacy or thinking about the future. And here's we're talking about Picard.
Yeah.
Who's at the center of this film. Except when Shatner's on screen. I think it's a new element.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
I always joke, although it's not a joke, that every Star Trek film is like, all right, we're too old for this.
Yeah.
And so, welcome to the Star Trek film series, Picard.
Yeah, right.
You won't survive the experience because you know that you'll be dead soon.
Yes.
Of course, at the end of the movie, he's like, I like to feel that time is a guardian. These moments will never come again. Oh, I'm a robot now? Never mind. Forget everything I said.
I know.
I'll live forever. You won't live forever. I'll live forever.
I know.
You'll be making pizza for me. But yeah, like that's something I feel like they've introduced. And here's the thing. I'm not some like weirdo who flips out when they introduce something that's never been introduced before. That's often called character development.
Yes.
But I do think it's interesting that the second he hits the big screen, the silver screen, your family's dead. And then now you have to think about like, oh my God. And, as somebody who has gotten older himself and is childless, I think that you can see it as we need to cram something in here that we've never talked about before in a bad serial TV show or movie writer kind of way. Hey, did you know that John Cena is Vin Diesel's brother that he's never mentioned?
Yeah, right.
Here's a flashback to explain that.
Yeah.
You could see it like that, or you could see it like a man, a career-minded man,
yes,
who thinks of himself as sort of like maybe 50% above a lot of this crap, but also 50% just, it's not for me. Songs of love, but not for me.
Yeah.
And he is blindsided by the tragedy that nobody could have saw coming, because what's a smoke detector? The deaths of his family. And he only subconsciously ever thought. Now, he's a smart guy, and when he's talking to Troy, he immediately is able to voice his concerns and why
Yes.
it bothers him so much, but it
Yeah.
doesn't alleviate that pain for him.
No.
And as somebody who had never consciously thought about it or let himself think about it much, it can hit you like that. You know, it can just totally stop him in
Blindside
his
you.
tracks and leave him just sitting in the dark, you know, in the observation lounge, just looking at his little books and stuff like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, I mean, I think that it fits.
I think so
It
too.
may have been a complete kludge by Braga and Moore to just jumpstart this thing and to give it the theme of family and time, you know, because that's
Yeah.
what
nexus.
Soren wants. But
Yeah.
but if this had happened, my thing is like, and I've made this clear, it's supposed to feel like an episode.
Yeah.
Don't you want more? You'll never have more episodes. Isn't that what you want?
Yes.
You just don't want it to feel small in scale.
Yeah.
And I didn't think this movie felt small in scale at all. So if they had a season 8 episode, calm down, Mike McMahon, where Picard finds out that like his brother and nephew are gone like that, and then he's got to deal with it while they're doing something else, people would say it was the best episode ever. It'd say the Inner
Yeah.
Light too.
I know.
But in this, it's like, oh, why is it? Oh, just kill him.
It does feel like a really long episode, but I don't think that that's like in a bad way.
Also, if you freeze frame, Nana Picard is in that photo album.
Sure.
And she's old.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, explain that.
You can't. But that's like
She's
the
not
one
just
thing.
hanging around.
Yeah, right. But that's like the one thing that he goes back and or Nana, she's not just hanging around. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
But like the photo album is the one thing he goes back to rescue from his quarters.
Yeah.
And he has all this stuff from digs and stuff like that he's
We've all
gone
seen the
on.
red letter media. We're now in a territory where we're gonna have to compete with red letter media's
Okay.
coverage of these films. I'm willing to do that. I like that scene. I do feel like, and perhaps it is the fact that it's hard to do setups around a set that you have now destroyed,
Yeah.
and B, somebody stole the captain's chair like hours before they shot that scene, so they had to like
Seriously?
mock up a new captain's chair. Yeah, I don't. It's if you ever go to Eric Stillwell's house and there's a captain's chair there, you know what happened.
That's crazy.
So I like that scene, but it does feel rushed. And
Yeah.
it feels like, let's put some stuff. I mean, what's he going to do? Pick up a lionfish, throw it over his shoulder? No. But let's put some stuff in there that like reminds you that it's his ready room or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, they probably shouldn't have picked like the archaeological thing that was so important to him before. But doesn't that tell you how important the point of the
Yes.
scene was? He wanted the photo album
Yes.
over anything else.
Yes.
Now, an important archaeological find from another culture. This is like if the British Museum
I know.
starts to burn down and the Queen runs in and grabs a Slurpee and then runs out, you know, while Cleopatra's tapestries burn or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. But the point of that scene was the most important thing to him isn't all of this dusty old stuff. It's
Yes.
the memories of his family.
Yes, that he
which is
can't
all he has left of them.
replicate. Yeah.
It is his artifact.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that Picard is, and this is the only time we'll see this, he's not a match for a short, skinny British character actor. I mean, he is the head droog, but he doesn't have his cane or his switchblade or anything like that for a bit of the old ultraviolence.
No.
And he gets his ass kicked by this guy.
He does.
So much so that he has to go back in time and get the punchiest captain in Starfleet history to help him out, which is awesome.
It is awesome.
Do you think after this, the NTSB or whatever looks at the files and goes, all right, fine, here's another ship. And he immediately goes, well, I've got to go to the gym.
I think clearly that is what happens, right?
Because every movie after this, it's
He's
jail
pumped.
pipes all the way.
I know.
And he's just kicking ass. It's like, that's never going to happen to me ever again.
Yes.
I can solve all kinds of riddles and I can talk a monkey out of a tree, but I'm never going to get beat up again. Forget that.
That's right. I'm never skipping
It's just
arm
like,
day.
"Rrr."
Yeah.
Now it's like, come, rrr, just pumping iron in there. Oh, sorry, we'll come now. No, that's fine. 4001. I don't know if you heard, I did 4001 of those. Yeah, that's never gonna happen again. The rest of the crew, not a lot going on, except for Data.
No, except for Data, who decides to put the emotion chip in, and oh my God. And he discovers humor, and it is a bumpy ride.
And remember, this is before like his best friend is like writing the scripts.
Yeah.
So they're putting this stuff in just for Brent Spiner.
Right.
I'm trying to think, like, I don't remember if Moore wrote a lot of like Data stories or Braga. I mean, I'm sure they both wrote for him and been writing on the show for a while, but like maybe they just put it into the Computotron. The Computotron said, people love Patrick Stewart. People love
funny Data.
Brent Spiner Data.
Yeah, right.
Because it's kind of their movie.
Yes.
It's kind of their franchise. The rest of the movies will just be them too. But it starts here.
Yes.
Do you think the character of Data, who gets, emotions in this, speaking of like abrupt things, this is maybe a thing where it's like, we're out of things to do with the character. So let's do this.
Yes. And
in contrast to the let's kill Robert and Renee.
Yeah. I think they're definitely out of things to do, and we have to pause and look at the shiny chip before he thinks about putting it in. And I get all that.
And to be fair, Data like addresses that. Like he says, like, I don't at this, and okay, I'm doing what I was criticized people were doing. I'm treating this all like it's real. Writers wrote all of this.
Yeah, of course.
So the writers put in his mouth, I don't know what else to do. But maybe that was kind of confessional on their part.
Yeah.
We've told every Data story. It's time to just give Pinocchio some emotions and let it rip, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are going to go from a tiny screen to a big screen, maybe that's the thing to do.
I mean, I don't think it's
but maybe you should have done it in season 7.
I think maybe they should have done it in season 7.
You could have 8 or 10 scenes with Data in an episode experiencing emotions not under control of lore or whatever.
Right.
Because instead he'll just be, he's the funny quip guy that we go to with jokes until he's horribly, brutally exploded in the last film.
Yeah, which that's not fun.
He's a flotation device. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh my gosh. I do feel bad for Jordy though, because he's like the best friend. And
Jordy had a cool scene. I'm guessing it's cool, a little brutal, where he gets kidnapped, and then in order to try to get information about trilithium or something, which I'm glad they cut it. At this point, Soren knows what he's doing. Unless he's just a sadist, but he tortures Jordy. He injects like nanoprobes and shocks his heart. And so there's this whole scene where Jordy is being shackled. What is this? With his actor in shackles, shackled down and tortured. Great. Which is why later on, when Soren goes back to the bridge, and they're like, "What happened with the guy?" And he's like, "Oh, his heart wasn't in it." Like that's a reference to the thing, but it doesn't really matter.
I just feel bad for him because he's kind of like the put upon friend that he just kind of has to like put up with. What are Data's antics right now? And like he's experiencing comedy. I don't want to. Who breaks a butterfly on a wheel?
Who breaks a butterfly with a clown nose on a wheel?
Yeah, exactly.
Who breaks a butterfly on a calliope?
Aww.
Yeah. So I want Data to have emotions. I think that's like probably important for his growth. But if we just got the scene where he does all the jokes, he's doing jokes, everybody.
Yep.
And then he goes, well, I'm never doing that again. And then for the rest of the film series, he has no emotions. That would have been okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot.
The Mr. Tricorder and the jokes. And he's like, I got that joke you told 7 years ago. This is all good bits.
Uh-huh.
But other than that, well, the stellar cartography scene is good too.
I liked it.
Now, this is where I might agree with some of the rotten critics who say that the film doesn't hang together so well necessarily. I like the fact that we aren't forgetting about Data's development as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about like Geordi having to put up with him. Captain Picard is racing to find the secret to this ribbon.
Yes.
And his chief engineer and officer, is the bait on the hook.
Yeah.
Because they don't know where he is. Presumably they'll be wherever the ribbon ends up. And so he's got to find this thing. And Data's like, I want a personal mental health day. And he could have been like, what are you, sit down, what are you talking about?
He wasn't mean about
But
it.
instead he's like, well, at first he's like, I sympathize with what you're going through. But I think you need to push through.
Yeah.
And Data's like, no, I can't do it. And he's like, look, it doesn't matter. You are an officer. Sit down and do this.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, he's like, I understand that you're scared. I'm scared too. This is what we do. But courage is an emotion as well. And and I need you to be strong.
This is something that came up. Data's emotionship is something that came up on
Red Letter Media videos?
No, well, of course. But talking about mental health being portrayed in TV and media.
Huh. Like in an article?
Like at a panel that I was on.
Ooh.
And I think that it's an interesting thing to bring up because, like, wouldn't we all like to take out our emotion chip? If
that's
our
the next
emotions,
movie. Don't get ahead of us.
Right, where it gets to be too much or whatever. But like he gets told, courage is an emotion too, and he gets sympathized with. He doesn't get belittled.
Yeah.
For what he's feeling, which I think is good, and it's recognized what he's going through. And it's scary. Like, he's never felt fear. It's literally scary. It's very scary. When Dr. Soren, cold cocks Glassjaw Geordie. Yeah. And then pulls a gun on Data. Data's like, oh, I could get shot. This is really scary. This is very scary. And Soren didn't know that Data's emotion chip had been activated. He kind of lucked out. Because if that hadn't been true, Data just pulls his head off and there's no movie. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But instead it worked out so that a scared robot, neat. Yeah. This is going to be easy. I know. And like he takes Geordie as like hostage, and I'm not really sure, like maybe just so they wouldn't like hurt him or hurt Soren or whatever. It only really works out for the Klingon, the sister, the Duras sisters. Yeah. Who he shows absolutely no regard for throughout the entire film. Oh, none. But they seem to like that. Well, I guess. Like but there is no reason to take Geordie. Maybe he just thought as a hostage it would be a good idea. That's what I think. And then being a person who, he's beam him into space, who cares, or throw him out, out with the trash. But like maybe being a person who's like, well, I don't want to kill this idiot. Like, there's nowhere to beam him now because we need to flee this system, and the observatory is about to become space dust. Yes. So now we're stuck with this guy. I guess we could just drop him off on a planet or something. Right. And then, of course, it comes full circle at the end where, a scene that is dumb and Brent Spiner apparently hated. Shut up, Brent Spiner. But where they find Spot, and they're going through the wreckage. And Data starts the scene by saying, I think I've got these emotions pretty figured out at this point. Uh-huh. Nothing's going to throw me. And then he finds his cat and he starts crying. And he's like, it's broken. It's broken. So it's like just showing like the journey's going to continue. Yeah. And I like that. I think that's great, honestly. So. Yeah. Marina Sirtis, great work as Troy. No storyline, nothing to do. Nothing to do other than to just keep doing solid background work as Troy. I know. She's really great in it. Yeah. And the same is true, of course, of Gates McFadden. I know. Who, it's just be nice to give these guys something to do. Yep. These ladies. A little something to do. Yeah. Women. Women. Yeah. Besides getting thrown overboard. Worf doesn't have much to do in this either. No, actually. He gets a promotion. It's like, all right. He gets a promotion. Something to do or a promotion. Yeah. Take the promotion. I'll take the promotion. Yeah. And then be thrown overboard. Yes. Or get the plank deactivated or whatever Riker does. Which is like classic Riker. Yeah. It's like it's all part of their broship. Which comes out sometimes in the original show, but never gets fully explored. But yes. Like, they're buddies. Yeah. And so he's gonna get him. He's like, oh no, you don't get away with that. Yeah. You're going in the water. Yeah. Yeah. So, it's a good opening scene, I think. It's a really interesting and fascinating idea. Yeah. Because you have the older era. Mm-hmm. Which by this time is almost the 24th century, but is still, an era of, photon torpedoes on Tuesday and stuff like that. Right. And you cut from that to the future where everything's supposed to be, even more advanced. Yes. And so in the old
timeline, you've got early LCARS displays, and you've got we're ejecting warp plasma, and we're configuring the deflector. We're doing all these TNG type things.
Yeah.
Then we cut to TNG, and it cuts literally from the blackness of space to the rolling surface of water, the space
It's pretty cool.
of history, right?
Yeah.
Of Earth. And they're on a boat, and you're like, what's going on? I remember being in the theater and being like, what are we doing now? Like, this is probably a holodeck thing, but why is this going on?
Right. But it's a good thing to pull the rug out from underneath your expectations.
Or the plank. Do you remember the first time you saw this?
I do not. I don't know if I was a kid when I saw this or if I saw this a couple years ago for the first time.
Yeah.
It might have been a couple years ago, or did they show these on TV at all? Do you know? I'm wondering.
I'm sure they were on
because it's
TNT
entirely
constantly.
possible I saw it on TV at some point.
Yeah.
But no, I don't remember the first.
Well,
time
it still
I saw
exists. If there was like this isn't a knock on Discovery, but if there was like a Discovery movie now, and then it was in theaters, and then it was on TV, somebody would flip by looking for Supernatural or something like that. They'd be like, oh, it's Star Trek.
What is this?
But this is the after effects of the ubiquity of TNG in culture, where even if you didn't consider yourself a Star Trek fan back then, you saw Data or something, you'd be like, oh yeah, what's up with Data right now? What's he doing?
Right.
He's crying.
Yes.
What?
He's got a cat.
Got a cat? It's in a bucket? It's weird.
What's going on with this?
What happened to this show?
Yeah.
I remember because this was my first year in college.
Okay.
And you know how it is, like when you first get to college, you're trying to make friends, and you're trying to. I guess it was November, so I'd been there for a while. And I remember going out to see this with a friend that I'd made, and his older brother, who was my friend was a freshman, he was a senior.
Okay.
And so he was one of like my upperclassmen friends, or at least acquaintances.
Sure.
And so I was like nervous to be like, oh, this is like a real nerd date here, and we're going to go see this movie. And I remember going to see it, and then we went to like Steak and Shake or something like that.
Sure.
And talked about it for like 4 hours afterwards.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And I don't think of him as this kind of person. Of course, this was a long time ago that I knew him, but he, he's not a crappy nerd.
Sure.
A real naysayer, a no good Nick. But he had a lot of bad things to say.
Okay.
All of the classic criticisms to be found in Rotten Tomatoes, Rotten Reviews, were on his lips. He's like, why do they do this? Why do they do this? This is dumb. Why do they do this?
Well, I feel like sometimes too, when you first see something, it's like easier and it's brand new. It's easier to be
but
negative.
This is how I know these
it.
people are wrong, because how can you have it both ways? There's too much dissonance there. You're disappointed, like you're saying, because it wasn't what you expected.
Right.
But it's also just a long episode of the show, which would be very familiar to you and you would expect.
Right.
And I admit that I am not I'm way too close to this. I've seen this movie probably close to 100 times. I've seen it so many times. I do enjoy it. I've completely drank the Kool-Aid, and the Romulan ale. And so it's hard for me to be completely objective, but I'm almost reversed on it. I think it is something new and fresh that I enjoy. And at the same time, feels like Star Trek to me. It feels like TNG to me.
Yeah.
There are elements of it that are big swings. There are big changes, in what we know of the Star Trek universe. Sulu's daughter, is shown for the first time. Sulu is straight in the Prime universe.
In the Prime universe,
according to George Takei.
Yeah.
Or he said he's straight. I didn't want to erase him.
Yeah, right.
As a bisexual person. I was thinking the other day, Captain Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
Huge bi energy.
I could see that.
Think about it.
Yeah.
That guy cannot sit normal in a chair. That tells you everything you need to know.
You told me that was the thing.
Sitting funny is a part of the game if you want to sit in that chair.
Oh my gosh,
or lay
so
across
funny.
that chair.
Oh my gosh.
Or sit forward weird in that chair. Or somehow lean back, put your arm kind of, your chin on your hand, and then also your legs are crossed, and you're talking into the side of the chair on that chair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Riker also never sits, like, he always sits funny on chairs.
Yes. No, well, it's
So.
beta canon, according to the actor,
Yeah.
Riker. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, for me, it's just like it works. It does everything it's supposed to do. It not only does it feels like a TNG episode, I think, in the best ways, but also adds higher stakes. But it also like has something that like later, worser, I think everybody agrees, efforts don't have, which is themes, which is like the focusing on these themes, the exploration of these themes, not merely through by saying, now this happens, and now this happens, and now in the plot this happens. Their characters exploring these ideas, coming to, Kirk never really, or not Kirk, Picard does try to Picard speech Soren.
Yeah.
And Soren is like, sorry, it's a movie. I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah.
We got to have a resolution here, and I have to explode. But it doesn't mean that Picard isn't changed by their encounter.
Yeah.
And at the end, Picard says, this guy said this to me, and I went through this experience. And in fact, early in the movie, he manipulates me because Elorians are telepathic, or maybe I don't know how he could listen to, I don't know how he knew what he knew.
Yeah.
But he definitely was manipulating Picard and playing on his emotions.
Yeah.
And Picard has said, I heard that, but I've come out the other side of that, and I disagree. I respectfully disagree, and I think that it's this, and I have this worldview, and different things matter to me now. Let's fly off into the rest of the film franchise.
Right.
And, that's like, that doesn't exist in later TNG films. It doesn't even exist in First Contact. They just sort of like kill the Borg and they're like, yeah, we did it. Bye.
Right.
It doesn't exist in the J.J. Abrams films.
No.
It doesn't exist in a lot of new Trek shows.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing the elevation of the core of what we think of as
Star Trek.
The Trek franchise, as Star Trek. No, apologies made to TOS on the big screen.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the salad days of that idea. Now Trek will change for the better or for the worse in the future, but like this is it. Trapped in Amber. You're seeing it right now.
Trapped in the Nexus.
A guy going, life forms. I don't know. Trapped in the Nexus.
Yes.
How does the Nexus work?
I don't know, but you get in that ribbon and it's just the sweet spot, and it's no time doesn't exist, and it's all about family.
Time isn't real,
like,
though.
Ideal family or what have you.
Yeah. Well, time isn't. Okay. All right. So here we're going to talk about Nexus section. Here we go.
Okay.
The Nexus is a nexus in time and space, and allows you to experience the future, the past, whatever you want. Picard sees children.
Yeah.
That he'll never have.
I know.
Now, I don't know if the movie knows he'll never have. We now know that he never did.
Yeah.
Maybe they were, in that way of writing things and going, well, I don't know where we'll go in the future.
Right.
But no, that doesn't even work because Renee's alive.
Yeah, I know. Renee's alive.
So he is experiencing an alternate future, an alternate present for his life.
Yes.
Maybe he's not even a Starfleet captain.
I don't think he
in
is.
the Nexus.
Yeah.
That's not the future. That's not even the present or the past.
I know.
Whereas when Kirk is there, he's specifically seeing his old dead dog, his old dead, I don't know if she's dead,
his old girlfriend,
his old girlfriend,
yes,
his horses.
Yes.
He's seeing his life. Now, I don't question the ability of the Nexus to either move you forward or backward through your own timeline, or read your mind and give you exactly what you want, like a holodeck.
Right. I think that's kind of what it's doing.
Here's what the movie doesn't necessarily explore, or maybe leaves it to us to answer. Does this mean that Picard is a man full of unrealized ambitions, but Kirk is a man who has lived his life embracing his ambitions and has only been thwarted by the limited lifespan of a pet, the changing affections of a lover, is he living his life over again to do it right, whereas Picard has an entirely different life because he's just never explored. He's always chosen the job over himself.
Yeah. I mean,
and the Nexus can do all that, huh?
apparently.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a neat story thing you made, Brandon Braga and Ronald D. Moore. This can get us out of anything.
I know. But neither man dreams about being on the Enterprise, which you think is really both of their first loves.
Boom, they're on the Stargazer.
Yeah.
And he's like,
right.
no, go starboard instead of port.
Yeah.
Stargazer doesn't blow up.
Right.
Like, no, that's not it. He wants to give Renee a fire engine?
I know. And like his wife and children are in old-timey clothes.
Does he give him a fire engine?
I don't...
Am I thinking a Christmas Story?
You might be thinking a Christmas Story.
I think Ralphie gets a fire engine.
Yeah.
Should have given Renee a fire engine.
Yeah, you should have.
All right.
Yeah.
Here's something else. Mm-hmm. So Guinan's there.
Yeah.
An echo.
Whoopi
Goldberg great in this.
Yeah.
It made me wish that there had just
Fantastic.
been, more Guinan that was Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
How does she know Picard? Now, hold on. I know that she met him in old Mark Twainy times.
Yeah.
But she met him for like a couple hours or like a day or two.
Yeah, good point.
But this is like full on wide hat, 10 forward bar owning Guinan.
Yeah.
So does the Nexus get updates?
It must be like, oh, Soren's back.
The Nexus will update when during your off hours when you're not
right.
using your computer.
It's like Soren's back. Something happened. Get in there, Guinan.
Also,
Guinan.
Where's Soren?
We don't see his family, his thing at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Why doesn't? So maybe that's the big TNG TV to movie transition change.
Okay.
Some would say fail.
Okay.
He goes to convince Kirk to help him.
Yes.
Not to convince Soren to stop himself.
Yeah. That's true.
Now, this is like a genie wish situation, very popular in movies right now, where you can have whatever you want. And it reminds me a lot of, as a comic fan, the comic story for The Man Who Has Everything.
Sure.
Where Superman is attacked by Mongol and he puts this plant on him that secretes this thing that sends your mind into a fantasy, so he has a fantasy that he's Kal-El and he lives on a Krypton that never exploded and he has a son and he's giving his son the love that he always wanted from his Kryptonian father and did receive and wants to pass on from his human father. And in order to leave this fantasy, he not only has to reject it, but he has to watch it, Krypton explode all over again, in the fantasy. And so Mongol compares it to tearing off your own arm. And so this is Star Trek. We don't go that hard.
No.
But we do get set up for that.
Yeah.
Guinan does say, you're not going to want to leave.
You're
it's
not
going to be the best thing you've ever had.
Yeah.
It's going to be Star Trek movies that feel like Star Trek episodes the whole time. Nobody ever... Are Starfleet captains immune to that? Nobody ever deals with that.
Yeah.
Picard's like, this is pretty good. I don't like these ornaments. I'm out of here.
Well, Guinan comes and talks to him.
And she comes and talks. Well, he talks to her. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so she's the key, I guess.
Yeah.
But he really comes and talks to her after he's already kind of said, no, this is wrong.
This is wrong.
And all he asks her is
wrong.
all right, how do I get out of here? She's like, well, maybe you can go this way, maybe you can go that way. He's like, no, tell me how to get out of here right now.
Yeah, right.
What's up?
I think he just, maybe because the way she set him up for it.
Yeah.
She said, you're not going to want to leave.
Well, then she did the right thing.
Yeah. She did whatever
Having a million candles by that much drapery.
Yeah.
Wrong thing.
Right.
Her telling him that thing, right thing.
You got it.
I think it's interesting that and this also tells you maybe what the other side of what I was saying about their Nexus. How was your Nexus experience?
Yeah, right.
That Picard leaves because of duty. Mm-hmm. And then he confronts Kirk with duty. And Kirk's like, no, I did that for a long time.
I know.
I'm not doing that anymore. But then later on, Kirk's like, yeah, I was trying to kill myself. And I realized I couldn't kill myself.
This isn't fun at all.
You know any rickety bridges out there?
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, yeah, there's no risk. There's nothing real here. There is no making a difference here. And so, yeah, let's go.
Let's go make a difference again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
2 out of 4 stars?
I know.
For that?
I know.
Let's talk about the way James Kirk goes out.
Oh, God. All right.
Before I expect you to talk for a while.
Okay.
Before you say anything, I will just say, Captain Kirk dies alone.
Yeah.
And he dies on a bridge. I don't know what
Yeah.
you want from us.
I
What
know.
do you want
I
from
know.
us?
I know.
What'd you think?
I thought it was really sad. And I mean, he did die running around on rocks, which is something that
Yeah.
Kirk loved to do. So he died what he loved doing best, running around on rocks. And
Using a TV clicker.
yeah, and like these
What
are
else is on?
these are all like three guys who are probably too old to be running around on rocks,
Yeah.
but
I did like the fact though that like Beef Jerky Sting is like, oh, screw you. You're dead. I'm going to kill you. Oh, please stop beating me up. Oh, you're such a good fighter. Oh, he's kicking my ass.
I know.
To the point where he does the thing where you like hide behind something and you go, I'm going to go this way. No, I'm going to go this way.
Yes.
Kirk's like, no, we did that all the time on the show.
Yeah,
My
I
stunt
got
double
you.
did.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not getting out of it like that.
Yeah.
Come take your beating.
Which was great. I thought it was great that he went for it and he went for the controller, even though obviously he was, you know, a little scared and everything, but he's Kirk. He's gonna do it. I just think he probably didn't think he was gonna die.
No, he didn't have Spock to beam him out of there.
No, you're right. He didn't. He didn't have anybody to beam him out.
I've always known. I'll die alone.
You're right. He did die alone
Crushed
because
by part of a
they
bridge.
weren't with him. They weren't with him, and maybe that
On
was
a planet
his thought.
I can't pronounce after beating up the guy from Cuckoo's Nest.
Viridian
or
3?
Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, maybe he knew this was it.
Very specific prophecy.
That makes me really sad thinking about that. But like Picard comes back and it like is like talking to him as he dies though. So he didn't exactly, I mean, he died, but Picard was with him, you know?
All right.
So
Maybe then he was wrong.
but they
Men like him
weren't
don't
with
have families.
Yeah.
He was wrong. Because it's in here.
Or did he really die back on the Enterprise and he was trapped in the Nexus and then he helped Picard for one more time?
Well, so a couple things. First of
Yeah.
all, there are like many stories, some by William Shatner himself, about bringing Kirk back. And
Sure.
so we've got that covered. I wanted to mention that the original ending of the film just had Soren shoot Kirk in the back.
Great.
So he's just killed by Soren.
Soren.
Done. Dead.
I think that's dumb.
And so they showed that to test audiences, and they're like, boo, this is like a long
Pissed.
episode of the show where Kirk gets shot in the back and dies. And they're like, uh-oh, that's not good. But every other part of the thing, you know, Berman and Paramount, it's like, this is a great movie. It's
Yeah.
just you have a bad ending.
Yeah.
So they greenlit another $5 million, sent him back
Okay.
out to the Valley of Fire, and
Okay.
shot, you know, new sequences. And then they apparently had to shoot some sequences, maybe the Guinan on the merry-go-round thing. So a couple more things just to smooth the plot out, make it clear what was happening
Okay.
here. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, and then people still didn't like it apparently. So what do you can assume?
You
Yeah,
don't want
they're
an extra
pleasing
long
these people.
episode? What's
Star Trek
wrong with
fans.
you? Yeah.
It would be cursed to have Star Trek fans. Anything else you can think of? I think we've covered this pretty well.
I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. Yeah. I mean, do you have any idea what you would go to in the Nexus if there was something like that you would go to?
Well, I mean, if as established you can do anything, and it
You can do
doesn't have to
anything.
be your life,
Yeah.
then I would, you know, you could just use it for whatever you wanted.
Yeah, I know.
And like, is it a thing where like a moment there, we see that's the real weird thing is that like you can leave it whenever you want,
Apparently.
but like literally
why
whenever
would
you
would
want.
Yeah.
So like
Right.
it picks them up, but then you can have it drop you off, but it doesn't have to drop you off along its world line or whatever. You can just go anywhere.
Well, who knows
So he
how
decides
long
to go
Picard
back.
was in it, too.
Right, but he decides to go back to Viridian 3.
Yes.
Maybe because he's not thinking it through with Captain Picard. He could have gone to the day after Soren, you know, gets off the Enterprise
true.
B and just had Kirk punch him out there.
That's
and then
true.
to get a ship and fly around the sun and go back to the future or something like that. Like if you can come
Yeah.
out anywhere, there you go.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I don't I refuse to answer the question because
Okay.
I could literally do whatever I wanted. So
You're
clearly,
right.
there's a lot of things I would do.
Okay. All right.
I would, well, I would, yeah. I would, let's see, I try to keep Brandon Tartikoff and Michael Pillar alive.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much.
Right. Keep them doing
Brain
great
scan
TV.
for one and some heart medicine for the other, or whatever
Yes.
happened to Michael Pillar.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think that was also cancer.
Oh, gosh.
I would close the X-ray office above their wherever they worked.
Oh, my gosh.
What's
with
going
the
on with all these people
radiation?
with the cancer?
I don't know. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I think I would go to an AC room is what I would do, and I would never
It's
leave.
the reference to how hot it is in the studio. Wouldn't be a show without that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also we'll never do this again because everybody has to be hot and sexy and never think about anything. But they kind of did it in Beyond, and it was praised for this.
Mm.
But the reflection, the theme of reflection, even if it's not the
Yeah.
theme of I'm gonna die soon, the theme of hug your cat because you don't know, you never know.
You never know.
But like Star Trek Beyond and this share a theme in its, going like, well, I don't really, well, what am I doing this for? Why am I doing this?
Right.
Now I know I can do it. I am doing it.
Right.
But why am I doing it?
Right.
And I think that is something important. We get lost in the idea of, well, it's a utopia and they're just doing good stuff, whether or not you are cool with their, what I see as their brand of like nice imperialism. But it's nice though, or even the exploring that they rarely do anymore. In Star Trek.
Right.
Having them say like, all right, we've got everything that we want. Why do we have it now?
Why do we do this?
Yeah. Why are we doing it? Like, I like that.
I like that too. I think that that's really important because it's important to question why you do things.
Yeah. And there's something in it for Picard because even though he doesn't see the Enterprise de-saucer section, be consumed by, when the planet is destroyed, he still knows that his crewmates and his friends, are in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And, we established that nobody lives on this planet, but there's another planet that has millions of people on it.
Yes.
And so Kirk doesn't know these people. Like,
No.
they're not even born when he, quote unquote, dies.
Right.
But yet it's like, no, we've got, a bunch of people on a ship to save, and we've got millions of people that we don't even know who have stone tools to save.
Yes.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
So put your eggs down and let's get out there.
Right. Right.
I like that.
I like that too.
They run towards the danger.
Yeah, they do. And Kirk could have just stayed and continued to burn eggs for his ex-girlfriend.
What if it like that's the Nexus's trick? It gets you in, then it's like, oh no, whatever you picked, that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
So it's like groundhog eggs.
You just keep.
You just got to burn
them.
these eggs forever.
Okay.
It does seem that he sort of, I know it's like maybe a movie thing or just like a fun bit of timing, but it does seem like he summons the toast.
It does, doesn't it?
Is there an element or like a deleted scene where the Nexus is just like giving them stuff that they need? What does it say that Kirk goes up to see his, lover Antonia, bring her breakfast in bed,
Yes.
yada, yada, yada. We don't know. And he goes in and he's in the stables.
Yeah, it's weird.
He's like, you would rather ride a horse, complete the rest yourself. Before we say goodbye to the movie, we do say goodbye to the Enterprise D in the movie.
We do.
Thoughts, feelings?
It's sad. It's really sad. You've been with this ship for a really long time. It's also really sad that they actually destroyed it.
Yeah. Not even one film it gets through.
No, not even one.
Yeah.
And they had to redo it.
USS New Broom.
Yeah.
Gotta get rid of this thing.
So it's sad. I mean, I guess you got to make way for the Voyager sets, but my goodness.
Well, yeah.
I feel like they could have done something to save it. So.
Yeah. I've seen this a bunch of times, and I was just sort of like accept it. But this time around, I was like, oh, it's a ship.
It's sad.
It feels like when I saw Star Trek 3, I didn't, I had seen some of TOS, but I was very young. And so for me, seeing the original Enterprise explode didn't have the same, I'd probably seen Star Trek 4 before I saw Star Trek 3. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, not that, the Enterprise is only in the very end of that one, but I'm just saying I didn't have the legacy with the show.
I understand what you're saying.
But like it hit me a little more this time seeing it. It's like, oh, that's it. That's where Barclay played Cyrano, and the ship gave birth to a little Play-Doh thing that took off. Remember that weird episode?
That's weird. Yeah. Yeah. Some weird things happened.
Yeah. That's where Geordi made his holographic girlfriend, and
that's where Data made his daughter, and and yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. It's sad. I mean, I feel like you feel it more with Kirk because it's like his baby, but it's like Picard's baby too, you know?
It's extra sad. It's like the Millennium Falcon, like, and it having like a sentient brain or something like that. When you think about the fact that, like, I guess we're supposed to get from the episode Emergence that the sentient part leaves the ship. Like, it's like, I'm done now. I had to create a life form and now I'm not sentient anymore. But like the Enterprise computer becomes sentient. And then 2 episodes later, if your movie's an episode, which we know it is now.
Yeah, right.
It explodes and dies, and everybody goes, oh.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Nothing to be done about that.
Yeah.
No. Why was I programmed to feel pain? Every tree that hits me hurts. That was an amazing sequence, by the way.
It was.
And like, speaking of like still doing models, all models, scale
really
models, yeah, like it's that thing where you're reading the technical manual, you know, when you're 10 and you're like, oh yeah, and it would crash land if anything ever went wrong. And it's like, well, guess what, baby?
It did.
Now you get to see that happen.
Yeah.
In living color.
Well, and then like I'm just thinking too, like we had 7 seasons with the TNG ship and it just happened. So I almost feel more emotional about it than even with like TOS. It was like 3 seasons and it was like spaced out with the movies and then the ship gets destroyed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, 25 years with it or something like that. Yeah.
Right. You still feel the emotion, but it just doesn't feel as fresh, I guess, in a way. So. Yeah.
And of course, in the next movie, they set the self-destruct and make a joke about how there's more letters in the alphabet. So clearly they're already playing fast and loose with the idea of ships. But that's okay. That's for a different guest on a different show. Mikanhana, thanks for joining me on this show to talk about Star Trek and the Star Trek universe. And if people want to continue the conversation, and they can at EISTpod on Twitter and the Enterprising Individuals Facebook page, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me at Mikanhana on Twitter and justenoughtrip.com and Sailor Noob, wherever you can find podcasts, noob_sailor, where we didn't get Sailor Noob.
I'm sorry. Assume big things coming up in the future for Just Enough Trope and Sailor Noob.
Yes. We will be at Convergence coming up in August, and I will be on a 30th Sailor Moon anniversary panel for that. So I'm really excited about that. And we'll have we'll be talking about the end of Sailor Moon S for the rest of the episodes as well.
Sure. Put in my own plug here for my show. Of course, a live episode of Enterprising Individuals to be recorded at that show. It is the one after this.
It is.
It is Star Trek First Contact. Funny how that works out. So a live episode, as per usual, recorded at the Convergence Convention this year. Mikanhana will be on the panel for that.
Yes.
Double dipper.
I know.
Talking about First Contact. So you can bring all of your insights from Generations to First Contact.
There we go.
And you can say, this doesn't feel enough like an episode to me.
I'm sorry.
And we'll know.
This feels too much like a movie.
Finger on the nose. We'll know what you're talking about. Yeah. Well, thanks again for joining me. We're signing off until the next mission. Hailing frequencies closed. Backtracking is back for an all-new season. Hi, I'm Caliban.
And I'm Gooey Fame.
And we'd like to introduce you to Backtracking, the podcast that explores the real-world inspirations behind your favorite episodes of Star Trek.
From historical events to classical literature to blockbuster films, we go where no pod has gone before to seek out the origins of classic Trek tales.
Did you know, Gooey, that the TNG episode Too Short a Season was an allegory for the Iran-Contra affair?
Yeah, only sweatier. Did you know that the Enterprise episode Regeneration was an homage to the John Carpenter film The Thing?
Archer and T'Pol freezing to death over a bottle of whiskey would have been a controversial ending.
As a dog lover, Archer would not like The Thing, I'm guessing.
Oh my god, movie night is canceled. Join us every other Thursday for a journey back to the beginnings of the Trek universe.
Backtracking is available wherever you get your podcasts.
No, Porthos!